pretty awesome. This next one is a spin-off to a sequel of a game that I really loved, and I did not have high hopes for the first game in the spin-off series, and I guess October, I played it last October, it won me over, and this game did too. It was just as good, and I really enjoyed it, and the game that it's based off of is one of my favorite games on the PS4, and this game is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. As you can see, I have the collector's edition from Limited Run Games, of course. So this is like an old school 8-bit side scroller, and I don't know what all to say about these games. They're fantastic. You play Zangetsu. He's back with some new buddies, and they have to go stop, the demon tower and its denizens and save the world or whatever. But it's the same sort of thing that you would get. And these games are basically like Castlevania clones. This one, the Curse of the Moon games, are like Castlevania 3 clones, where you can switch between the different characters, and they have different powers and weaknesses. So right off the bat, this game presents you with 3 different difficulties. There's casual, where there's no knockback on your character. Then there's normal and veteran. And veteran has like respawning enemies, and if one character dies, it's just like game over. It's way too hard for me. So the whole gimmick with this, it's kind of like Mega Man meets Castlevania. You have to know which character to use when to have success during the levels. And I think that's really a smart and tested and tried and true gameplay design. And this game, they knock it out of the park. They know what they're doing. And this game tries to mix it up a little bit too. There's even there's like a shmup stage at the end of the game that I thought was really fun. You know how I'm a big sucker for shmups, and to see a shmup in like a game that's inspired by one of my favorite series, which is Castlevania, it was thrilling to me. But the game has like this amazing like 8-bit aesthetic with fantastic chiptunes. I don't think the music in this one was quite as good as in the first one, but the bosses and the big sprites on screen and the parallax scrolling and the use of color in this game is phenomenal. And I really like all the different characters you get to play as. And, there's lots of Konami references in this game, like solar flares that were kind of taken from Gradius, and the Moai heads, which are also taken from Gradius, make an appearance and stuff, which is, even though this isn't a Konami game, Castlevania is, and this is a nod to that series. And this game has one of my favorite characters ever in like an 8-bit game, and that's Hachi. He's a corgi, like a dog, a little corgi in a mech you play as, and he's awesome. He's fantastic. And I thought that was just so charming that the Castlevania games were so serious, but these kind of like have a good sense of humor with them. So it not only emulates a great franchise, but it kind of does something new with it. And this game it's actually surprisingly long. There are multiple acts that involves like changing the story, but you go back through the game or play through the same levels over again. And it kind of has like light Metroidvania elements to it. And so as you unlock new characters and you find new items, you get more powered up, you can go back and play through the other levels again and take different routes through them to have almost a new experience. It's really cool. But there are some things that are a little annoying about this game. Like there's an ice level and fire levels, and the platforming in these games is not great because once you jump with your character, you're committed. You can't change direction in midair like Mario, so you need to really be spot on when you jump. And some of the levels have some really frustrating enemy placement that I feel like is there to intentionally troll you. And in the last level, minor spoiler here, but you all go to the moon, which is kind of crazy in like a medieval fantasy game. But gravity is different on the moon, so your characters all behave differently. They jump higher and it's slower, and it really messes up your muscle memory that you've been developing over playing this game all of these hours. And so I felt like that was kind of a miss there. I don't think they should have changed the gravity. Going to the moon's fine, but changing the mechanics of the game is a little annoying. So, like, what are my final thoughts on this? You know, I was playing on veteran difficulty to begin with, and I was getting a little frustrated. There was just, the enemy placement was really draconian and like unfair, like I said, kind of trolling me. And I feel like they almost did that on purpose. So I switched the game over to casual mode, which it doesn't really, I don't think it changes the difficulty. It just gets rid of the knockback, so you don't get like stun locked by getting hit by enemy after enemy after enemy and falling into a pit. And it made the game way more fun. Like, it was immensely more fun. It still felt like Castlevania, but it played more like a modern game. In this game, while I don't think it's as hard as like Castlevania 3, it's a lot longer than Castlevania 3. So, like, really hard games are fine if they're kind of short and you can learn to master them. But when you, like, there's 10 hours worth of gameplay or something, and it's that hard all the way through, it can really kind of turn you off to the game. So I recommend playing this one on casual. It's not casual. It's still hardcore on casual. And it's a lot of fun. There's enough challenge there to keep you, you know, entertained, but not frustrated. You know, this game, if it had been on the NES when it came out, I don't know if the NES could actually play this, but let's just say it could, since it's designed to seem like it's an NES game. If it had been on that system, it would have been like a classic, and it would have been considered to be one of the best games on the system. So I feel like you have to almost judge it against that as well as judge it as a new game. It's kind of hard to do, but honestly, this game, I beat it and I played through all 3 acts. There are even more modes to unlock by like playing this game and, you know, only using one character, or, you know, don't get like some secret items or something like that. And it's like totally different. And I just didn't have time to dive all into that. The first one, I 100% in Bloodstained Ritual and Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 1, but this one they went like so far beyond all that I just didn't have time for it, and I felt like I had my fill of it and I was happy with it where I stopped it. And this game is fantastic. It's amazing. It is a 9 out of 10, and any fan of like Castlevania or old school NES games should definitely give this one a shot.